Hi everyone, my name is Chris, and welcome to Anime Debate, the show where we review and compare anime. Literally, that's the name of the game, that's the claim to fame. This week, we are comparing two anime that are literally classics. Literally. Anime that defined this thing that we've all come to love and know. Back in the day, you may have called them Japanimation. Back in the day, you may not have known better and you may have called them manga. But both these shows exemplify what it means to create in a dystopian world. Akira versus Ghost in the Shell. Now this review will be a lot more difficult than my other reviews because frankly it's hard to really criticize these two fairly. I mean, both are set in dystopian worlds, or rather, alternate versions of the future. Both feature technologies above our own. Both feature mystery and intrigue and slower paced storytelling devices. Both also feature what I would consider to be slightly horrendous dubs, at least when they first came out. But over time, you learn to appreciate them for what they are. Also, they are a sign of their times. Most dubs at the time had very sloppy and uneven acting. That's just what it was. It was a new, untested market. But both of these shows also have a great amount of history and a great amount of influence across the anime platform. If you ask me, most shonen anime wouldn't be what they were if it wasn't for some of the scenes found in Akira. And most science fiction anime wouldn't be what they were if it wasn't for the things built up and the atmospheric abilities shown in Ghost in the Shell. So this review isn't going to be as easily taken, and you have to know that both of these shows are going to have their flaws, are going to have their attributes, are going to have their things that divide all of us. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt and know that they are both worth your time and both worth checking out. Now with that said, my name is Chris, and let's get on with the anime debate. Let's start with the plot comparison. Let's start with Akira, but I will tell you this. I notice a lot of other reviewers tend to try to curtail around explaining the plot of Akira when they do reviews by saying things like, oh, you already know this, or I don't need to tell you this. If you don't know it, you don't even know anime. The truth is, they're doing that because it's hard to explain, and they don't really want to go through the trouble. I'll just give you a small synopsis because, to be real with you, I struggle through explaining this myself. Essentially, it is Tetsuo, who is the guy who's always, with the bandages flying and the screaming, now has psychic abilities. And those psychic abilities are really the contention of the story, because his friend is on a journey to try to find him, find out what happened to him. They are localized in a neo-futuristic alternate version of Japan, and they are just going through life as they do until this happening appears. And then the government gets involved, and of course their world is already kind of government oppressed, as future neo-utopian societies are, and they are literally just dealing with the results of his coming. And part of that coming is also, see the thing is, when I was a kid I used to call Tetsuo Akira because I didn't know any better, but Tetsuo on a mission to try to also get Akira. And I won't explain how that works, and if that didn't make sense to you, good, because that is how Akira is supposed to be. Point is that you're on this journey with all these different plots. They're all going to weave together eventually. The big one being Tetsuo and his emerging psychic abilities, as well as Kanada's journey to try to save or find his friend and their contention that follows. Now, let's move over to Ghost in the Shell, which has a much more linear story, plot, and structure. Basically, you have, I always get her name wrong because I'm not great at the whole Japanese pronunciation thing. I know in the American movie they called her Major, but it's Wutoko. Wutoko is a cyborg who is also a police officer / government agent who is on a mission to stop cyber criminals, and she's on one particular mission right now to try to stop a certain cyber criminal who, enlightens her of her, shell, or rather her ghost inside of her shell, being more than meets the eye, no pun intended. She's also localized in a neo-futuristic version of Hong Kong, and ultimately has civil unrest and government intervention because, of course, she's part of the government, which gives a different point of view than normal. Again, her being a cyborg of sorts gives her a different point of view that we all get to go through with her, because the thing is, the crux of this story is more about the interactions between the characters and their existential crisis of what makes someone human. Now, you feel that throughout the entire series, not just with our leads, but also with our sub-characters and even characters that we don't even really get to know very well. And that makes for a very, very deep story and plot that I think makes it stronger than Akira because it's easier to follow. Now, not to say that Akira's story and plot isn't complex, but the fact is that its translation over from the manga was done poorly. Characters pop in and out of relevancy, they pop in and out of nowhere, they have motivations you don't understand, and people will say, well, you're just gonna think about it. Well, I think, honestly, you don't. Read the manga and you'll get it, and you'll see where all these missing holes went. There's a thing where essentially the movie was made before the manga was finished, or even really even thought about. It's a lot like what happens with our modern day filler, and therefore it is really going to suffer in comparison to what we wound up getting in the movie. But because it's a pioneer of what anime has become and what anime is, people have a hard time really criticizing it for that. But the fact is, it is essentially a filler movie. It is filler. And due to that, you're going to compare it to anything, it's going to be inferior. I'm sorry to say that. So Ghost in the Shell wins the plot. Bing! Now, if that already hasn't thrown you or made you hate me, let's move on to my next favorite part of these anime debates, the characters, which is really important. So we have in Akira, we have Tetsuo, we have Kaneda, we have Kei, we have a bunch of other people, we have government people. Oh my god. And it's hard because I just ultimately want to compare all of the main people, but just also the side people, because the thing is with this genre, the atmosphere is also a character. The way things are built out, the way things look, the way things feel are living and breathing, and they deserve to be characterized and judged for so. And so when I look at it, I really have to say that ultimately the amount of fleshing out and the amount of detail given to each character and even how they think and how they feel just makes more sense cohesively on Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell, in my ultimate opinion, really does a good job of getting us, really to identify with Wotoko more than anyone else, and Bato at times. But really, you get to just see and feel these things they're thinking and feeling, because they say them all the time. You honestly get a really strong bonding period, because it makes you question yourself of what makes someone a human and what makes someone not. It's instantly identifiable. I think that with Akira, you have less of that, but and I'll use this as a way to kind of connect this idea. But ultimately, the movie Chronicle is a version of Akira, and immediately in the movie Chronicle, I identified with the character that was, developing his abilities and really just wanted to kind of use them to his own advantage and to become stronger and to actually feel good about himself for once. But you don't get that type of development in Akira. You simply get a character that becomes kind of, tired of being pushed back and becomes power mad almost too quickly. His turn to heal is like this. It's like, oh, I got powers, now I'm evil. It's not like this slow, steady growth. And if that would have happened, I would have said that the characters felt better for me on the side of Akira, but it didn't. And I don't really get to know these characters as well as I would like to in a movie that is 2 hours long. It's just what it is. So for that reason, Ghost in the Shell is gonna win my vote for better characterization. Now, you might notice I'm doing this a little bit out of order just because I want to talk about things in terms of importance to me for the overall structure of this review. So, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program next time, but for now, just deal with the difference. So, we're going to move into action, because both these movies feature action and iconic action scenes. Now, I mentioned earlier in this review that these are humongous, big animes in terms of what they contributed to the anime world. I mean, to be real here, Akira itself ultimately influenced the world of Ghost in the Shell. You wouldn't have these big sprawling, dark worlds and utopian ideas without Akira. But the actions here that are carried out are very, very different, and the way they handle themselves are very, very different. You have the iconic scene of Wotsuko on top of her machine that she's trying to rip out the circuit board from, like, and her circuits are popping, everything's going crazy. It's insane. I remember watching that in the movie, which, by the way, I'll say that the American movie is not bad, not in my opinion at least. I really dug it. But watching that scene and it having the same impact as it had the first time I saw it in the anime. Like, just a pure strength and a pure determination and the willingness to not give up and do everything, including tear yourself apart to win, is jaw-droppingly inspiring. But then you look at the action over on Akira, where literally every single time someone fights or something awesome is happening, it becomes a cinematic tour de force to a point where I feel like every single anime that is in the shonen genre rips it off. When a character is powering up, getting really angry, and you see all that the intensity and just the pure power and emanating from every single corner of every spear, that is coming straight up from Akira. That is what a true iconic inspirational status does. Even Kanye West ripped it off. You gotta say that your heart starts pounding and you might even sweat a little bit when you see the action coming in Akira. I think that's the reason why a lot of people like myself grew up wanting to call Tetsuo Akira, because it's a cooler name. You'll go, Akira, power up! And again, he's not powering up here, but it is the equivalence of what that looks like in every other show, in my opinion. Even before you could power up in Dragon Ball Z, this is what I think really inspired it. That kind of power, that kind of raw energy. And because of that, you gotta give the action to Akira. It literally made this ish, man. Now let's go into animation. Now this is a tough one. Both of these shows are beautiful. But the things, and I'm just gonna spoil it for you, the things that Akira does with color and pure movement without movement is amazing. Again, like I said earlier, it inspired this ish, man. You would not have this dark dystopian world that lights up and comes to life when the neon lights are showing in Ghost in the Shell without Akira. Again, the things they do with color, the fact that the animation holds up so strongly. I know there are remasters and HD remixes and all this stuff like that, but you can look at the use of just something like a shadow. The way they use shadows is strong. It's freaking strong. And when you look at it in Ghost in the Shell, it feels inorganic. I thought they just put shadows because shadows are cool, or shadows make things look more deep or intriguing. But the way that they fall on each character, the way they move as someone comes out of a darkness and into a light in Akira is breathtaking. It just is. So for that reason, fluidity of animation, power of use of color, shadow usage or lack thereof, you gotta give it to Akira. Akira is kicking butt! It still looks good. It looks better than most things you see today. You can't beat that. I mean, even the fact that the mouth flaps are made on purpose to match the actors' movements of their head and their mouths. It's so different that you just don't get that anymore. I watch it and I go, wow, why are they so animated? Why does this feel so real to me? It's because it's done in a way that we just don't do things now. Gotta give it away. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Akira. Now, let's move into music, which this is one that I really had to dig into. So the music, Akira has this amazing thing where the producer decided to put it in a higher frequency than humans can even hear, and really make it a truly surround sound experience, something that you really would need to be in a movie theater to truly appreciate, but you can do it at home if you get the right rigs. But as far as like the music and the way it sticks with you and the way it affects you, I'm gonna give it to Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell has like themes and songs that fill up a room, and both of these movies are atmospheric. Don't get me wrong. Both of these need their scores, but the fact that the score was made, you know, I want to say before the movie was even created, so it might be backwards. But all I know is that the score here was not made for this film. It was made kind of after the fact. It was made, you know, loosely and disjointed, and then they put it together, kind of like a mishmash project. But you can tell that with Ghost in the Shell, this was made for this film. This is made to fit. This is made to literally build emotion within you. And it does so at a striking vantage point. That iconic scene of Wutuko on top of the, you know, the building as she drops down. I can feel that. I can feel it. Even in the movie, what America did. And they placed it in the right places. It is done well. It is done awesomely. And I truly appreciate it. And I know you do too. So for that reason, Ghost in the Shell wins music. But now let's ask ourselves, which one did better overall? Before I get to that, I want to remind you guys that I do these videos every single week. Please let me know what you want to see me compare next. And please leave a comment if you don't agree with my thoughts, or if you do agree. It helps me out a lot. And give this video a like. But with no further ado, let's get into the final determination. Which is better? Ghost in the Shell versus Akira, the classic anime showdown. Let's talk. You know, it's really hard for me to make a judgment on something that I know that I personally could not create myself, which I literally do on this show all the time. And a lot of people who criticize things don't think about that. I think that most people that are critics or whatnot, if you want to call them that, are not creators. You know, you look at the Angry Video Game Nerd, and his movie wasn't very good. You look at the Nostalgia Critic, and while he does try to work, you know, little skits and plays into his stuff, it's not very good. I'm just being real here. I think it's very good for the internet, but it wouldn't play in any other medium. And I appreciate him and these reviewers putting themselves out there and being able to be here first. If they weren't here first, I don't know if they would make it in the modern day world. I'm not saying that to be mean, but I'm saying that to put a perspective around it, to say that I myself, I know that while I have a lot of opinions, I can't make anything this amazing. So both of these are masters of their genre and masters of industry. They literally inspired everything that came after it. So to compare them to and tell you which one is better, I'm gonna have a hard time. But I have to pick one. I used to do this thing on the old show where I would, you know, come down to a point where I couldn't make a decision and I would leave it with a tie. And I told myself that in 2018, I'm not allowed to have ties on anime debate. So I have to pick one. So ultimately, I have to say that for overall production quality, and I know we have to think about the fact that we're living in certain times. One of these movies is going to be older, one's going to be newer, and I'm not going to let the age of it affect my review. The truth is that one of these is just done better as a story. One of these is done better as a narrative. One of these is done better entertainment-wise. One of these actually makes sense. I still remember as a kid, and I snuck and watched it. I wasn't old enough to watch it when it came out, but as a kid, I watched it, and I was like, yo, what am I even looking at? What is happening? And I went back and revisited it as an adult, which is literally when I watched it for this review, and I came out with the same feeling. I still didn't really understand a lot of things that happened. And I later was told, go read the freaking manga. So I started reading the manga in my spare time. And I instantly saw all of these plot holes get filled. I was like, oh, this is so much better. It's like Dead Man Wonderland. Dead Man Wonderland is an okay anime, but it is an amazing manga. And had the show gotten a chance to reach or catch up to its manga, it would have been a like top tier anime guaranteed. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Akira has a lot of flaws, as does Ghost in the Shell. But Ghost in the Shell does a better job at piecing all this stuff together. There's a reason that Ghost in the Shell has not only had an American adaptation, but an adaptation upon itself, a sequel, and a series. Because there's a lot you can do with that concept, and a lot you can do with these characters even after the initial story is told. And it was told the first time in a way that did leave you going, I don't know what that ending means. But Akira did the same thing, but not as well, and not as rushed. And while it is a pioneer, and it did pave the way for Ghost in the Shell, Ghost in the Shell took those achievements and innovated upon them and ran with it. And for that reason, Ghost in the Shell wins the anime debate. It is the better series. It is the better show. It is more entertaining. The music sticks with you. And it just works. That wacky Japanimation manga stuff just works. And I'll say this, I know that when I was a kid, I mostly watched it because, naked girl and more violence. Because back then, that's when anime was known for the gratuitous violence. Like, Fist of the North Star, you touch somebody and bodies are exploding. That's what you watched it for. You're like, I shouldn't be watching this. I'm 10 years old. But you needed to watch it or you weren't cool. But when I got older and was able to actually explore these elements and these ideas and these stories and how deep and non-contrived they were, I learned a new appreciation. And I think that appreciation grows for me more than any other for Ghost in the Shell. With Akira, I would like to see it redone with the manga portions that were eliminated or not even considered because it wasn't finished yet. Added back to it, kind of like a Fullmetal Alchemist versus Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I like to see the Brotherhood version of Akira. And I think that would allow it to be able to beat out anything else. But without that in existence, I can't with a good heart tell you that it's the better series. But that's all I have to say, everybody. I mean, that's it. I mean, Ghost in the Shell wins. And I'll still want to know what you want to see me compare next on the next anime debate. This was taken by request by one of you guys in the comments. And I greatly appreciate you guys for interacting and asking for things because it does help me know what to make next. Thank you guys so much. This has been Chris. And if you like this video, give it a like and check out the other versions of Anime Debate. We've got so many episodes. Sit back, relax, check out this playlist, and I'll see you guys next time. See you later, Anime Debaters.